Meeting is now streaming live. You're live.
We are live. Good morning, everyone. It's day 2 of the April Showers Bring May Flowers campaign, and I'm joined by 2 of my most favorite non-Fargoan Fargoans, Jeff Wyant and Jeff Walkowski, and I'm going to try to get them in quickly because we're having some technical difficulties. So if we lose you, Jeffs, then we do. So let's go from there, except that I think we've lost you already. So I'm going to talk a little bit and we'll hope that they come back. So Jeff and Jeff are Minneapolis natives. Well, I don't know that they're natives, but they live in Minneapolis. And years ago, oh, you're back. Great.
Yes.
Now tell your story. Jeff and Jeff, welcome to the Arts Partnership's morning conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, particularly on vacation. I can tell you hardly anybody's been on vacation and we lost them again. So this is going to be quite a 15-minute conversation. Anyway, Jeff and Jeff had a trip planned to Europe. At some point that got canceled, and so they decided they would go to Winnipeg, but they didn't. There you are. So I was just at the point of saying that you were on your way to Winnipeg when you realized you did not want to drive all that way, so you decided you would do a stopover in Fargo.
Yes.
What year was that?
2008, I believe.
It was that late?
Yeah.
No, it was an election year. 2004.
That would be 2008 was an election year.
But 2004 sounds more
Yes, yeah.
like
Okay,
it.
so
Yes. And we actually knew before we went on the trip that we were going to want to make a stopover. So it wasn't like middle of the trip. So and we
Okay.
had heard from a friend.
All right, they're frozen again. So I'm just going to keep filling in the details. They stopped in Fargo. They stayed at the Hotel Donaldson. They, long story short, fell in love with Fargo. And
they
not
had a
only,
wonderful.
oh, this is so frustrating.
I know.
So, okay, you came to Fargo. You found it unexpectedly delightful, correct?
Absolutely. And I remember
So now you're muted, Jeff and Jeff, which means they probably can't hear me either. Can you check your mute? What a bust this is. What a disappointment, because their story is so interesting. Oh, you're back. You're back.
yes.
It's like we're doing some sort of call and response. Who knows
Yes.
what the audience is thinking. But I can tell you that they have been in Fargo a bunch of times. When they come back, we'll get them to tell us exactly how many. But they have become ardent supporters, not just of Fargo, but of the Fargo art scene. So how many trips to Fargo have you 2 made?
About 60, honest.
60.
Yes.
I mean, you kind of have your own room at the Hotel Donaldson, basically. You know, they're VIPs at the Hodo, for sure. I can tell you're going to freeze again. So not only have they become ardent Fargo fans, but they have a room in their home in Minneapolis, which Maz and I have been fortunate enough to stay at, that is all Fargo artists. I am drinking out of my Emily Williams Wheeler mug in honor of the Jeffs, because Emily and her husband, John, and Jeff are great, great friends. So I thought, well, I have to use an Emily mug today. And so they've got the art in their home. You're also part of the Fargo Film Festival.
Yes, I was a jury chair this year, and prior to that, for probably 10 years, I was just a member of an assorted jury. So that was good.
It was good, and this year's festival was exceptional. I really was so moved by so many of the films. So that's the backstory told through me and a little bit of Jeff and Jeff of how they came to be unofficial Fargo Moorhead West Fargonians, however you would say that. But can you talk about why you find the art in Fargo Moorhead West Fargo so valuable or so important that you now bring friends to Fargo with you?
Do you want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. I just find it.
So we can't hear you. Now they're frozen. They're unfrozen, but we still can't hear you. Now they're frozen again. Isn't it phenomenal that technology can work 99% of the time? Oh, go, 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 go.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So we get to meet the artists and we see them around town. I remember once many years ago, we were walking around, we were intrigued by John Offit. He said, yeah, we saw something. He said, come to my studio. And we did. And then who was it? Was it Dan Jones who was visiting him? And he said, come over and to see my studio. So we just
Yep.
walked over.
Yep.
And then on a subsequent trip, John said, yeah, I said, we're going to bring some friends up. Can you give us a lesson in glass blowing? He said, sure. And he lined it up.
As long as you bring beer.
Yes, that would be a requirement for John Offit. Yes. So they're about to freeze again. I think now that I have a little bit of a system with all of this, but here's what I want to say about the Jeffs and their commitment to the art in the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo community. It's their curiosity that makes them so compelling, because there are people who support the arts in Fargo-Moorhead who don't know the artists. So it's you two just innately saying, well, I want to buy the work, but then I also want to meet the artist and I want to go to their studio and I want to have that experience. And that is one of the beautiful things about living in a community our size with as many artists as we have, is exactly what Jeff said. You have access to the artists. And we all know that there is something so interesting about being able to tell a story of the artist behind the art on your walls, on your shelves. So welcome back for the 47th time.
Yes.
So talk about just why you keep coming back.
Well, because we started coming back so many times, it's like Fargo is a very friendly city.
Okay.
And
Good.
we could make friends easy. And we have a lot of friends.
Yes, you do.
So we come up not just to visit Fargo, but to see our friends.
Yeah.
And we have, in the course of, it's like maybe we're over 15 years now, we've been to a wedding or two. We have been to a funeral.
Yeah.
We've celebrated many New Year's Eves, and it's just very accessible. And another thing, getting back to the arts, is the studio crawl. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
A
Yes.
studio crawl. It's like, you'd think that compared to the Twin Cities, which has a massive and a wonderful
Yes.
arts community, but it's crowded. And you're lucky if you get to spend 10 seconds talking to the artist. But at the studio crawl, there's people. It's not like it's empty,
Right.
but there's time to talk to other people there. You don't feel that you got to move because there's a crowd, and the artists want to talk to the people who are visiting. So it just makes it very accessible. And I'm not an artist, but I appreciate it. And I love hearing them talk about it because it helps me appreciate it more.
Well, as I say all the time, we don't really need, I mean, we can always have more artists, but we don't need more artists. We need more art supporters to have the curiosity and to make the investment in the arts, because artists are makers and they make it whether someone is going to acquire it or not. And so to have people like you two who come, who invest in the community, who invest in the local restaurants and pubs and shops and arts. And I mean, I feel like you're the poster couple for what Fargo can be for tourism, because you have brought dozens of friends over the year. I now have casual acquaintances that I only could know through you two because you have brought them to Fargo. And that's incredible. So I'm sorry to talk over you, Jeff, but I can't hear you. But I sure appreciate that you are hanging with me as long as you can. I will see how the audience does. Let me just say this. Thank you so much for giving up some morning time on vacation, even though the technology failed us.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your joyful support of the arts in Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo. And I know you do that other places too, but that's the community that I care about. So thank you for that. And thank you for talking as much as you could about why our community's arts have a different kind of value than maybe a larger community. It's easy to look to Minneapolis and think that you've got everything there. But it's important for us to remember that we've got our own pocket of really fabulous, high quality art. So to that end, then, you know, everyone watching, that this is our big online spring campaign week, April showers, bring May flowers. And you know that we are dependent on our ability to support local art through you, our donors. You've shown up time and time and time again, not just for us, but for many, many arts nonprofits in the community. And I want you to know how much we appreciate that. And I want you to know that we need you to show up again. So this week, if you give online at theartspartnership.net/donate, any donation of $25 or more will get you this little keychain, which is hard to see. I'm sorry. This is our logo. And then the other side says support local art. And this reminds you to tell everyone else that you are a key to our ability to have a great arts community that is growing and thriving and blooming and blossoming just like spring. So Jeff and Jeff, any last words while I can still hear you?
We can't wait to be able to come back to Fargo again. Maybe in the summer, maybe in the summer.
We hope
Yeah.
so. As more and more people get vaccinated, it just opens more and more doors for us to see the people and actually not get interrupted by technology.
Yes, yes.
And
Well-
we're anxious to try the Jasper once it opens.
Oh, yes, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Me too. There's a lot to be excited about coming up in spring. And so I'm going to sign off rather than put our audience through any more of this. Jeff and Jeff, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody else, donate what you can when you can this week. theartspartnership.net/donate. And on Friday, I'll talk to you about how you can come and pick up your keychain and get a great big in-person thank you from me. Jeff and Jeff, thank you. And I can't wait to see you soon.
Yeah.
Dana, goodbye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.